Good evening, children. So yesterday we discussed about intrusive landforms and extrusive landforms, and we also discussed about types of volcanoes. Today we shall discuss about volcanic belt, like where we find volcanoes in the world and which part. Now, there are weak zones on the crust, and the weakness is being caused by the folding or other movements. So the volcanic chain are situated on these weak belt. So wherever there is a crack or the fault line, in those places the earth crust is quite weak, and in those places you will find volcanic belt, or most of the volcanic eruption takes place in these weak part of the earth. Now the Pacific Ring of Fire is one of the two great weak belt, and it passes through the western South America, Aleutian Island, Kamchatka, Japan, Philippines, and the islands of Indonesia. So this entire area through which these region passes is known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. And the other belt runs through the Canaries Island, Mediterranean region, Asia Minor, Southern Arabia, and Eastern Africa. But some volcanoes also exist out of this belt. It's not that the volcanoes will find only in these belt, but some volcanoes are also found beyond this belt. But most of the volcanic activity takes place in these two belts. One is the Pacific Ring of Fire, and the other that runs through Canary Island up to the Eastern Africa. Now we shall discuss about the effect of volcanic eruption on humans. Now generally when it comes to volcanic eruption, the effect that comes to your mind is always negative, destruction. Yes, no doubt on that. The sudden flow of the lava can cause great destructions to human life and as well as to property. These are the bad effect of volcano. Like the Krakatau volcanic eruption that happened in the year 1883 in the Indonesian island had caused so high waves that several neighboring islands were completely submerged, that is, they sank. Then in the 7980, because of a volcanic eruption, two cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum in the Rome were completely destroyed when Mount Vesuvius erupted. So these are basically the bad effect of volcanic eruption. But sometimes volcanic eruption can also be constructive. Now the black molten lava, magma that comes out, we also call as lava. So when the lava spreads across a large area, and in the course of time they cool down, and then they form rock, and those rock, because of weathering, breaks down and turns into soil. Those soil are basically black soil, and black soil is very good for cultivation of crops like cotton. So this is one good effect of volcanic eruption. Then the northwest part of the Deccan Plateau is also made up of igneous rock, that is by the volcanic eruption. Then one good effect is also that the plateaus that are being formed because of the overflow of magma or lava makes the area rich in minerals. This is another good effect of volcanic eruption. Then sometimes because of explosion of the because due to the volcanic eruption, the entire volcanic mountain is being removed, and what is formed? Caldera, if you remember, or crater lakes. So these crater lakes can be a source of water, like the Lake Victoria has been formed because of volcanic eruption, and it is also the source of river Nile. Then volcanic lava also helped in preserving traces of ancient civilization. So these are some good effects and bad effects of volcanic eruption. The next that we shall discuss now is about earthquake. Now what is earthquake? So the sudden movement of the earth crust is known as earthquake, where a series of waves travel through the earth, and these waves is basically created when the plates either collides with each other or slides against each other. So we are familiar with the faults in the earth crust, fault, the cracks. So a fault, as we know, is a fracture, a crack, and the horizontal strata of the crust, when subjected to compression, may not always lead to fold, but instead one side may rise and other side may sink, and this sinking can sometimes release a huge amount of energy, and that energy causes earthquake. Or sometimes when the plates, when they move or they slide against each other, they may get stuck. So when they get stuck, they are already pushing or pulling against each other because they got stuck, and then suddenly they are being released, and when they get released, a huge amount of energy is also released, and that can cause earthquake. Then sometimes earthquake can be also caused by volcanic eruption or a huge or big landslide under the water. Now whenever there is an earthquake, the first tremor in an earthquake are of high intensity. When the earthquake comes, the first it shakes the ground, and then slowly it slowly it descends away. But that's not the end. Then aftershock may be coming, and that's why whenever there is an earthquake, we should not immediately get inside our house, because a series of second wave may be followed by the first primary wave, which we call as aftershock. Now, the place of origin of the earthquake is also called by a different name. Now, when a huge part of the earth in the fault line goes down, so the place where that crack happens inside the earth, that is called as focus, and the point just above the focus on the surface of the ground is called as epicenter. So if the focus lies near the epicenter, then the intensity of the earthquake is greater, and the movement or the intensity of the earthquake is being measured by a device known as seismograph. I'll also be sending you a link where you can watch a video about earthquake, how it occurs, what epicenter is, what focus is, and you can understand more clearly regarding focus and epicenter. So before that, so what is focus? The point on the Earth's surface vertically, what is epicenter? The point on the Earth's surface vertically above the focus is called epicenter. And the place where the earthquake occurs, that point is known as focus. Now we'll discuss about the effects of earthquake. Now, earthquake that occurs in the hilly area or in the mountainous region can lead to landslide, and this may block the road or the traffic for more than a week or even more than that. Then sometimes these huge landslides may bring along with it a lot of stones, big boulders, and that may fall into a river nearby, and then it can block the river water and also can create a lake, and also can create flood in the nearby areas. Then the earthquake that occurs near the coastal area can create great destruction, like huge sea waves can come into the shore and wash away the nearby areas and even destroy homes and life of people. If you remember tsunami, they are mostly caused because of underwater earthquake, and then a series of high waves travel towards the land, and that causes great destruction. Then if an earthquake happens in a plain or land area, then there may be cracks on the road, land may submerge or go down, house may collapse, people loses their life, dislocation of electric poles and even communication gets hampered. Sometimes because of dislocation of electric wires can also lead to fire. So earthquake generally brings about havoc and destructions in whichever area it occurs. In the past, earthquake of very high intensity has rocked even our own state, Assam, where people have lost their life and properties. Then recently, when I say recently means in the year 2001, Gujarat has experienced earthquake where thousands of people had lost their life. And in Assam, frequently we do experience a small intensity of earthquake that comes and go around, because we live in a place which is quite near to the fault line, the Himalayan fault line. That's why in the near future we may experience a very high intensity of earthquake that can cause havoc and destruction. So this is about the chapter, the earth movement. Multiple choice, fill in the blanks. You all have to do it in the book itself by your own. Question answers also you have to do. If you have any doubt, you can ask me regarding question and answers. Otherwise, all the questions and answers are quite easy, and everything we have discussed in the chapter. For example, question 1, name 3 landforms that have been created as a result of earth movement. What are they? They are mountains, plateaus and valleys. Then question number 2, name 2 mountain ranges that are example of folded belts. There are many, you can write any 2, the Himalayas or the Andes or the Rockies. Then question number 3, difference between fold and faults. So this question answer we have discussed inside, but I'll tell you once again. So fold basically happens on the surface of the earth, whereas fault occurs below the surface of the earth. Faults are due to compressional force and faults are due to tensional force. The two examples I have given you. What is magma? You know that, it is there in the book itself. So likewise, you try to attempt all the question and answers and write it down in your SST school copy. Thank you.